Hey guys, Dave back again. I guess Google really hated my stimulus video. It didn't really move a whole lot, or you guys hated it. It got a lot of likes for the amount of views that it had. So hopefully it wasn't you guys. If you didn't see it, maybe go back and watch it. Hopefully this video gets out a little bit. Who knows? I don't make videos to be popular. I just sort of want to share with you guys what's going on and what I see. This episode, I want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in the gun world and where did this really start from. So my buddy John and I, we went on that adventure yesterday, and along the way, and we've sort of been buying up ammo. I think ammo is the new gold. You can trade ammo when stuff hits the fan and goes sideways. People always want ammo as opposed to gold, which you got to kind of carry around to protect. And you know, I don't know, like, I'm not saying don't buy gold. You can buy some. I definitely think it's on a tear. I think there's a lot of people marketing gold. I think there's a lot of people on YouTube hawking gold. Don't even get me started on Bitcoin, total speculative asset. We'll get into some of that in another video. But ammo, you can buy ammo. Buy some ammo. I mean, we were in stores yesterday. They limit you to 1 box per person per day. I mean, ammo is just not around, and it's a good to have. But what's going on in the gun world? So a couple things. Like, it sort of looks like, and I know I'm going to catch flack and heat for this, I am not a Republican, I am not a Democrat, I am just a dude who looks at all this stuff. I vote on issues, things that are important to me. I don't care about party affiliation. I don't have a need to be aligned with anyone, any group, anything. Like, I sort of look at all the facts, I go do my own research, and then I vote for what's needed. Now, that said, I'm gonna make the Democrats mad, I'm gonna make the Republicans mad. That's just how it goes. It's whatever. But in this video, so I'm kind of taking a long way around to get there. I'm just a little nervous about this one. So in this video, let's talk about gun legislation and what's coming in. For better or worse, it looks like Biden is going to be president. Biden and Harris have already said that they're going to enact a bunch of legislation. They have a website out that sort of outlines some of the objectives that they're trying to tackle. So I thought we would sort of look at some of those. Some of this is already underway. So I know Americans are buying guns at unprecedented rates. If you're not, go start. If you're not buying ammo, buy ammo. Like, I can't stress that enough to you. Get ammo and get guns right now while you can, because it's going to get it significantly harder, and we'll get into some of what's going to happen and what I think is coming. So, and if you don't like guns, that's fine. You're allowed to not like guns. If you agree with that's fine. You can agree with them. I like guns. I've had guns in the house since I was a toddler. I've never had a bad experience with guns. We've always been responsible with them. It was taught to me early, responsible gun ownership and what's involved. I think a lot of times what happens with guns is people are not exposed to them. They don't understand them. There's always a fear in something you don't understand. So now, I also think there are a bunch of bad actors, and we'll get into mental health and all, and I have another video planned for that. I'm not going to cover it in this video. I think there's some solutions there that are being swept under the rug for some ulterior motives. And again, in a lot of these videos, I try to peel back and give you guys facts and let you make your own understanding. The government propaganda machine is amazing. They've got a lot of great people that are great at making you think things and understand things. So if we go look at this Biden-Harris website, and I'll put it up and we'll kind of step through it, you know, it paints a really great picture of Joe Biden as this great savior. Whether he is or not, your opinion, your decision. It paints the NRA as a bad organization. Whether it is or not, your decision. I do think that they've sort of misstepped of late. It looks like maybe they're trying to turn that around and correct that. I think it's been a well-run and established organization for a long time. Whether it is or not, that's your opinion. I'm going to say that a lot in this video. So if we go ahead and take a look at the proposals that are in here, there's a lot of propaganda spouted off in this thing. that maybe aren't facts, more opinion. They use a lot of powerful words to try to steer people in a certain direction, which I think is wrong. You know, hold gun manufacturers accountable. We saw some of that with Remington. They pretty much bankrupted Remington, especially on the back of Bushmaster, which is, you know, wrong. You know, there's the Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act, I think is a really, I don't think the manufacturer should be responsible for what someone does with the product. If you misuse the product, that's what we have criminal laws for. That person should be held accountable, my opinion. You know, there's a lot of law-abiding people out there that don't go around shooting people. They use the product as intended for sport, whether it be hunting or, you know, plinking, as we call it, shooting, you know, out shooting targets and whatnot, preparing those skills. So I think that act should stay. Now, on the backside of that, like, I think the section 230 where it protects Facebook and whatnot from being accountable for what people say, there's a gray area there. I feel like I probably have a little bit of a double standard on that one. I don't think that one's entirely right, or maybe it's not applied directly. I think that one we need to look at, and maybe we'll go through that in a different video. But it's the same sort of premise. So it seems like the government's attacking all of that, and I think there's a reason for that, and we'll do a video on that one too. But we got a lot of videos coming up. So, you know, we've got ban the manufacture of assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. What's an assault weapon? Assault is a word. It's an action. The weapon itself can't assault. You know, they're designed to look warish, but those rails serve functions. So you can put flashlights on those, and you can put scopes on those or whatever. Like, that's all that is. It's a semi-automatic rifle with some attachment points. Attachment points do not make something an assault rifle. So while it looks scary, again, I think this is a lack of education. It's no different than your standard semi-automatic shotgun or your semi-automatic rifle that you use to go hunting. Think 22s, for example. I don't understand this, and I don't understand where that's coming from. So to try to target and attack these specific ones, in my opinion, what the government is doing, it's trying to slowly undermine, you know, your Second Amendment. And why? We could take a chunk here, you could take a chunk here, and take a chunk here. It works over time, and then you're okay to roll over and sort of give up your liberty there. And that's what it is. It's a slow, just, it's death by 1,000 cuts. It's not just one big hack. Like, they're not going to just come in and hack the Second Amendment. They're going to chop pieces of it out until there's just really nothing left. So be ready for that and understand that's what's occurring. 30-round magazines, like, shooting is fun. Like, stopping to reload diminishes the fun. That's why they were invented. They weren't invented to kill people. Like, they were invented so you could go out and shoot a bunch of different targets and have a good time. I'm sure I'll take a big levy of feedback, blowback for that one. So yeah, so that's coming. You know, I'm trying to buy some guns and some different things that I want. One for home protection, one for shooting and that kind of stuff. And I'm already running into gun manufacturers feel like 30-round magazines are going to become illegal, and they've stopped making them. I can't even buy them. So when the gun in particular that I'm referring comes in, we're going to go do shoot. It's going to be a fun video. Let's talk about this one right here. Regulate possession of existing assault weapons under the National Firearms Act. So what's going to happen? They're going to go back and retroactively say, if you have an AR, let's say 15, for example, that you either need to turn it in or you need to get a tax stamp for this. So it's not that they're going to really try to get rid of them. They're going to try to get more tax revenue on this, you know, to the tune of billions of dollars. It's $200 to get a tax stamp for these NFA stamps is what they call them. Basically, you register it. So if you want to buy a silencer, you got to go buy a tax stamp. For those that don't know, you have to go buy a tax stamp. You get a background check, you got to do fingerprinting. It's a whole big process. You pay $200 and then it's registered to you and then it goes out. It's not like you can just go in and buy a silencer. You can go in. So what they're going to say is retroactively, there's no grandfather clause. You're going to go back and have to pay $200. Basically, It's a $200 grab from gun owners. Like, hey, here's a new tax, congratulations. So good luck with that one. That one's going to be a disaster. I think you should look for the sale of 6-inch PVC pipe to go through the roof. If you want to invest in some commodity, there you go. Go ahead and buy that one. Buy back the assault weapons and high capacity magazines already in our community. So the term buyback, I don't know how you use that in this scenario. The government never owned it to begin with. And if we go ahead and we take a look at the Australian model and how they did their buyback back in, what they do that in? 97. So for those that don't know, back in 97, Australia rolled out a huge gun buyback program, sorry, where they bought 650,000 guns back. Even I'm using the terminology, which is inappropriate. So they bought 650,000 guns from citizens. The way they did this, because it cost them $304 million to compensate people for the guns, and then it was $63 million in administration fees. So the way they did this, they increased the Medicare tax. They raised it from 1.5% to 1.7%. Do you think they lowered that after that? No. So not only did they snag up all these guns, they then also hit you with higher taxes. So yeah, that sounds terrible. But anyway, so they go out and they buy all of these guns. And now my buddy John that went on the trip with me yesterday lived in Australia during this time. So he was part of this buyback program. And he's got a myriad of like just horror stories from, you would take the gun in, they would assess it, give you a ticket, and take the gun. And on the ticket it would be new, used, they would list the condition, they would tell you a price. And he had countless stories where they took the guns and then when they got there, they would just throw them in bins. So they would get scuffed up, nicked, nothing was labeled new by the time it got to the processing facility because it had been so beat up through the process that they then tried to give you less money. So you turn this gun in and they're like, yeah, it's worth $2,000. They scuff it, beat it all up. By the time it gets there, they're like, we'll give you $600 for it. So you had to go fight, and then it was on you to go find, you know, reputable dealers or whatnot that would attest that it was new. I mean, it was a show. You had to fight tooth and nail for your money. They tried to undercut you at every corner. It took him months to get a lot of this stuff sorted out. Like, it was a nightmare. So be ready for that. If they go that way and they get this pushed through and they do that, you're going to face that. Like, not only are you not going to get to keep your gun, you're going to get undervalued on your gun. And then you're going to get taxed on top of it to pay for this buyback, basically robbing you of your gun. And then you're going to pay yourself for it is what's going to happen. So be ready. That's just sort of the pathway. We have had buybacks before in this country. You know, the first one that I could find that was documented was in '74 in Maryland, of all places. So they did one where they basically paid you $50 for a surrendered gun, and then you got $100, which odd to me, you got $100 for a tip on somebody else that had a quote unquote illegal gun. But what, and this is in '74, so this was a lot of money. They spent $660,000 to buy these guns back. But what the people that ran the buyback couldn't explain is crime rates went up during this period of time. So they actually increased. Homicides and assault rates all went through the roof, and they can't explain it. So do gun buybacks work? Do getting guns off the street work? Up to you, make your own decision. I will say that in China, they don't have guns. Their citizens don't have guns. And if you Google knife attack in China, the first 4 stories that come up, at least in my feed, were horrific. I mean, so if we look at the first one, knife attack kills dozens in southwest China. Chinese state media reports that 28 people were killed and 113 injured in an orchestrated knife attack in southwest China. There's a video where it was on CBS News. This second article, knife-wielding man kills 8 school children in China. An unhinged man carried out a knife attack at a Chinese elementary school on Tuesday, killing at least 8 kids on their first day of class, authorities said. Third article, Knife wielding man kills 7 in random attack in northeast China. So, 4th article, this one, knife wielding attackers kill 29 and injure 130 at a China train station. Those are the first 4 articles that pop up. No gun mentioned, not guns killed. With knives they did this. Like, if people want to kill you, it doesn't matter if guns in the system or not. Guns in the system allow law-abiding citizens to defend others and themselves. It's naive to think that the police are going to be everywhere at every time. You know, if we go ahead and we take a look at Wyoming, if you have a problem in a lot of areas, it's not unheard of for 20, 30 minutes for police response time. You know how much violence can occur in 20 to 30 minutes? Like, if you're not armed and able to protect yourself, how do you fend for yourself? You know, you're going to get rid of guns. Bears come in. Like, bear spray is great and all when you're hiking in the backcountry, but understand that bear spray has a 2-year shelf life. After 2 years, the pepper spray inside of a bear can will eat out the rings and it will explode in your house. So you can't buy one. Like, you have to constantly keep bear spray. You have to keep replenishing it, keep buying more bear spray. So I've got some that's on the verge of being 2 years old that I'm gonna have to chuck and then go buy more. You're gonna have to keep up on that. And in these remote areas, it's not unheard of for bears to come down the river. I have friends that send me photos of bears in their yard year round. Like, it's been really warm this year. The bears are still out. Like, it's easier to carry a gun. It's easier to have a gun to protect yourself, you know. And that's not even intruders. That's just bears. So they're going to try to reduce. You'll only be able to buy 1 gun a month, you know, if you're going to be allowed to have guns. It's sort of like the cough, like you can't go out after 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. to go drinking. It's sort of that, the illusion of safety. You know, when people are scared, they'll sort of give up rights and do whatever to get safety. I don't know that you're getting that from that. I think it's a sort of a politician trying to say, hey, we're doing something. Require background checks on gun sales. They do that now. You know, you can mandate that, but a criminal, someone that wants to do a nefarious act, someone that's committed to doing a murder, that in their head has committed to doing a murder, isn't going to worry about doing a background check from someone. And really what's going to happen is it's not going to be sold. They're going to, if you're already committed to doing murder, breaking into someone's house to steal a gun is a moot point at that point. You've already committed to doing the serious crime. What's to stop you from getting in? You know, I mean, I can go to any parking lot, and if you have situational awareness and you want to figure out where there are guns in cars or where there are guns or whatever, there's enough stickers on people's cars, there's enough indication in a general parking lot that you could narrow it down to 3 or 4 cars and you could find a gun in a parking lot. Like, it's not that hard. Like, you could find a car to break into to get a gun. You don't even have to break into someone's house. Like, it's doable. You know, I mean, it kind of it goes along and it makes up all these loopholes that aren't really loopholes. I hope that you've tried to buy a gun recently and you've been through the process and you understand how difficult and arduous it is. It's not just walk in, get a gun, and walk out. I'm hearing that from a lot of my friends that own gun shops in town, and I know a few of them. You know, I'm hearing a lot from them where people are coming in and they're surprised at how hard it is to buy a gun. They're like, what? No, just give me the gun. And that's not how it works. They're like, I have to get checked. And I think a lot of people don't understand the process. You know, and I think politicians are preying on that. So the other thing, and we're going to see it right here. This is one of the big ones I wanted to talk about. Sorry, I was trying to get to it. And online sales of firearms and ammunition. They're not only trying to end online sales of firearms and ammunition. So if you've ever bought a gun online, it's not like Amazon. It's not one click buy a gun and it shows up on your porch. It has to go to FFL, which is a federal firearms licensee. So basically, someone who's been vetted by the ATF and is allowed to sell guns. So a gun shop. You go there, you have to do the background check to get the gun. It's not just like, hey, and if you buy a gun in another state and you do it legally, they have to ship it to an FFL. Same sort of deal. Like if I go to Montana and want to buy a handgun, I have to have it shipped to an FFL. I can't just buy the gun and just roll out, you know. So ammunition, is protected by that same 2005 manufacturer clause. Well, that's under attack too. So in New York, there was a kid, he was 19, and in New York, you have to be 21 to buy handgun ammunition. So this kid, I'm going to butcher the name, Kolek, K-L-O-C-E-K. So the dude's doing 4 to 12 for manslaughter. So what happened? So this 19-year-old goes into a Cabela's and he buys 45 ammunition. Now 45 ACP ammunition can be used in handguns and it can be used in long guns. So what the lawsuit alleges is that he bought handgun ammunition. Now there was a handgun in the house. He was house sitting. There was a handgun in the house. He invited his friend over. Something happened and the friend inadvertently got shot in the process and died. So the dude's in jail for manslaughter. 4.5 to 12 years, I think is what it is. So, but Cabela's got drug into the lawsuit by the kid who died's parents, saying that Cabela's was neglectful and shouldn't have sold the kid ammo. Now, Cabela's didn't know whether it was 45 for a handgun or 45 for a rifle. If it was for a rifle, they're fully allowed to sell that. Now, why is this an issue? So, this will undermine retailers' ability to sell ammo if they're going to be hung out here. Like, you think ammo's hard to get now, a lot of retailers are going to back out. Like, if I go to Walmart now, there's a handful of anything that you can buy ammo-wise. I mean, they have some long guns in there and stuff that you can buy, but you can't really buy ammo. I think a lot of retailers are holding back too, to wait and see how this plays out. Because if you're going to be liable for someone that misuses the product, you and gun manufacturers are now on the hook. The litigation is just going to be out of control. You know, this is scary. You're not going to be able to buy ammo online, and local retailers aren't going to sell it for fear that they're going to get sued. Where are you going to get ammo? You know, I mean, I hope everybody buys a reload kit and starts stocking up on ways to reload ammo, because you're going to have to put it together yourself. You're not going to be able to buy factory ammo. Like, get ready. No one's going to sell it to you, and no one's going to make it, because they're all going to be liable for whatever happens. Now, if I were a politician and I wanted to get rid of guns, that's the route I'd go. I wouldn't go after guns. I wouldn't come for your guns. I'd come for your ammo. Like, they're going to use hazmat, and they're going to use this as the way to get rid of ammo and get rid of supply. So when I say buy ammo, it's more valuable than gold. It absolutely is going to be. I think this is the wrong approach. I think people are living in fear. Back in World War II, when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, they interviewed a Japanese general, and they were like, why didn't you continue the attack on the American mainland? You had the element of surprise. They weren't expecting you to come. You could have totally gone in and raided them. And the general said to them, he's like, every American is armed. It's the largest standing military of armed people around. Like, we were not prepared for a battle of that magnitude. And that's what the founding fathers wanted. They wanted you to not only stand up against your own government if they came for you, but they wanted you to be able to defend yourself if someone else came. I think in today's day and age, we have a lot of people that just feel safe with, oh, we have this great military, or, oh, we have the police, and there's no personal accountability. Like, you have to be able to defend yourself. The world is violent. The world is dangerous. We can try to water it down and pretend like that doesn't happen all we want, but assaults, burglaries, rapes, all that stuff happens. You have to be able to defend yourself, and it starts with you. You know, having a gun is a step in defense. Having a knife is a step in defense. Like, no one's trying to rule out knife attacks, and we've seen in China where those are just as deadly, if not deadlier. Like, we don't have hundreds of people murdered with guns. They just don't. I mean, people get shot, and it's unfortunate. There's a mental health crisis in this country that we're not adequately attacking. You know, there's a drug epidemic that leads to some of that. There's some underlying societal problems that are going on that are driving to some of that, and we'll get into that in a video. I have a great book that I want to share with you guys that dives into that, and we'll go through it. But all in all, understand that your gun rights are under attack. If guns are important to you, get out there, get on the ATF website. I think you can still comment. Today's the 4th. You can still comment on the pistol brace issue. I encourage you to go read that and look at that. You know, pistol braces help a lot of disabled people enjoy firearms, and I think it's being bastardized into something that it's not for political gain. So take a look at that, comment. You know, the ATF said they're going to pull the legislation and what they're trying to do, but I think the Department of Justice is still moving forward. So government at all levels is attacking your gun rights in every corner. So if gun rights are important to you, it's time to get in and say something. It's time to stockpile ammo. If you take nothing else from this, stockpile ammo. Like, we bought a ton of ammo yesterday. Every time I'm out, if there's a sporting goods store, I stop and I look for ammo. I have ammo, and store it securely, safely. It's going to be an amazing form of barter if things sort of fall apart. We'll get into, I think, hyperinflation's coming and how that's going to go, and how the price of ammo is going to go through the roof more than it is already. But now's the time to be buying ammo. Put in to buy guns if you can before a lot of this legislation goes in. Hopefully you beat the curve. If there's something on the shelf and you can get it, buy it now. But your Second Amendment is being attacked. Look at that, understand that. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. I think the way that they're going about it, especially attacking ammo in this Cabela's lawsuit, is something to be concerned about. And I think that's the way you're going to see the bigger impact. And I think be prepared if you own what they're terming an assault weapon, an AR, if you will. It's not an assault rifle. A rifle cannot assault you. Assault is a term. But they're going to try to label those that way. It's a scary term. It makes people afraid. Basically, assault rifles have rails on them where you can mount strobe lights and flashlights and little laser sights and fun lights. Basically, is what makes it, decorative. But they're coming for those. Be prepared to pay a tax stamp on those. It's going to get ugly. They're probably going to try to push a buyback. If it goes like it did in Australia, which was horrible for your average person, be ready. It's coming. Please buy ammo. If you have a 30 round magazine for an Origin 12 and you want to sell it, hit me up. Let me know I'm in the market. But yeah, so that's what's going on. It's not going to take Biden and Harris getting into the office. I think it will probably go that way. But whether it does or not, they're already moving on it. You need to be responding in accord to put yourself in an advantageous position as best you can. I think you're up against a losing battle, but get out there. All right, guys, this one's not positive. It's a little doom and gloomy. If you're into the Second Amendment, there's a lot going on. I encourage you to look around. Check out the Cabela's lawsuit. You can Google it. It pops right up. Check out knife-wielding people in China that still kill people. It's not just guns. It's mental health is the problem. We're not addressing it. That's where the money should go. Those are the things that need to be addressed. And we have a lot of societal problems that are going on. Those need to be addressed. This divisiveness, we're not Democrat, we're not Republican, we're not this, that, or that. We're Americans. Work together. Stop trying to identify as a group. Stop letting politicians, and the media in particular, drive you one way or another. Make your own decisions.